I always thought that when my children needed me, I would be there for them, no questions asked. For most of my life as a mother, I did just that. I raised them with all the love, care, and attention I could muster, sacrificing things for myself to make sure they had the best life I could offer. But as the years passed, I began to realize that love and support don't always mean giving in to every request, even if it comes from your own children. I have 3 children, each unique in their personalities and needs. My eldest, Grace, was always fiercely independent, determined to make a name for herself. My son, Kyle, followed in his father's footsteps, pragmatic and steady, working his way up in the corporate world. Then there was Emma, my youngest. Emma was the most sensitive of the 3, always looking for comfort and reassurance. She had a gentle heart, and I often worried about how the world might affect her. But she grew up strong in her own way, always determined to live her life on her own terms. Emma married her college sweetheart, Liam, and for a while, everything seemed perfect. They were deeply in love, building their life together, and I was so proud of the woman she had become. But as the years went by, Emma's desire to have a child became her sole focus. She and Liam tried for years without success, and each failed attempt seemed to break her spirit a little more. It was heartbreaking to watch when they first turned to IVF. I was supportive. I knew how much having a child meant to her, and I wanted to help in any way I could. But IVF is expensive, and after the first 2 rounds didn't work, their financial situation became strained. Emma asked if I could help cover the costs for the next round, and without hesitation, I agreed. Of course, I would do anything for my daughter. After the 3rd failed round, Emma was devastated, but she wasn't ready to give up. Liam was working 2 jobs to help cover the expenses, but they were still struggling. Emma came to me again, this time asking for more help. I dipped into my savings, the money I had set aside for retirement and emergencies, and gave it to her. I didn't even think twice. This was my daughter, and she was suffering. How could I turn her away? But the rounds kept failing. Each time, Emma would come to me, her eyes filled with desperation, asking for more help, and each time, I gave her the money. I watched as my savings dwindled, but it felt like there was no choice. If this is what she needed to have the family she dreamed of, how could I say no? After the 6th failed round, something shifted in me. I began to realize that I couldn't keep doing this. My savings were nearly gone, and I was approaching an age where I needed to start thinking about my own future. It's not that I didn't want to help Emma anymore. I did, but I had to consider my own well-being too. I had spent my entire life giving to others, to my children, to my family. But now I had to face the reality that I couldn't keep sacrificing everything for everyone else. I sat down one evening and took a hard look at my finances. The numbers were sobering. If I kept giving Emma money, I wouldn't have enough to retire comfortably, let alone deal with any unexpected expenses that might come up in the future. I felt a pit in my stomach, torn between the desire to help my daughter and the need to protect myself. The next time Emma asked for help, I hesitated. It wasn't easy to tell her no, and I could see the disappointment in her eyes. I explained that I had already given her everything I could, and that I needed to start thinking about my own financial security. She tried to understand, but I could tell she was hurt. For the first time, I felt a wall go up between us. Words spread through the family quickly, and soon I was being called selfish. My other children weighed in, with Grace telling me that I had done enough, and Kyle staying silent, always the peacekeeper. But Emma, she was angry. She told me I didn't care about her happiness, that I was abandoning her in her time of need. It was like a knife to the heart. I spent weeks wrestling with guilt. Every time I saw Emma, I could feel the distance between us growing. She was polite, but cold. She stopped coming over as often, stopped calling just to chat. Our once close relationship had changed, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was the one to blame. I wanted to explain to her that it wasn't about not caring, that it wasn't about choosing money over her dreams. It was about reaching a point where I had to think about my own future, about the fact that I had given everything I could. But no matter how many times I played the conversation over in my head, I knew she wouldn't understand. To Emma, this wasn't about money. It was about support, about love, and by saying no, I had failed her in her eyes. There were nights when I lay awake, wondering if I had made the right choice. Maybe I could have found a way to give her more, taken out a loan, sold something valuable. But then I would think about the future, about the uncertainty of aging, and I knew deep down that I had done what I had to do. Still, the guilt gnawed at me. One day, while out for a walk, I bumped into an old friend from my neighborhood. We hadn't spoken in a while, but as we caught up, I found myself opening up about the situation with Emma. My friend listened quietly, and when I finished, she put her hand on my arm and said something that stayed with me. You've given her everything, but now it's time to give yourself something too. You can't pour from an empty cup. I thought about that for a long time afterward. I had spent my life pouring every bit of myself into others. But now, my cup was empty. It wasn't selfish to want to protect what little I had left. It was necessary. Still, the rift between Emma and me remained. I could tell that she was hurt, and I didn't know how to bridge the gap. I tried reaching out, offering support in other ways, helping her and Liam around the house, cooking meals, spending time together. But it was never the same. There was a tension there, an unspoken disappointment that hung in the air whenever we were together. As the months went by, I watched Emma continue her journey with IVF. She and Liam found new ways to fund the treatments, and they kept trying. I admired her determination, even as I worried about the toll it was taking on her. Every time she would update me, I could see the emotional weight she carried. But I had to step back, let her live her life, and make her choices, even if it meant she was angry with me. I'm not sure if Emma will ever fully understand why I had to say no. Maybe one day, when she's older, when she has children of her own, she'll see things differently. Or maybe she won't. Maybe this will be the thing that drives us apart forever. I try not to dwell on that possibility, but it lingers in the back of my mind. In the end, I had to make a choice that felt impossible. A choice between my own security and my daughter's dreams. I chose myself, and for that, I've been called selfish. Maybe I am, but I also know that there comes a time in every parent's life when they have to step back, when they have to let their children stand on their own, even if it breaks their heart to do so. And so here I am, caught in this limbo between love and guilt, trying to navigate the space between what I've given and what I can no longer give. I'm not sure if I made the right decision, but I do know that sometimes love means knowing when to stop, even if it means being misunderstood, even if it means being called selfish. In the end, I realized that no matter how much I loved Emma, I couldn't sacrifice my own well-being indefinitely. I had done everything I could, given everything I had, and at some point, that had to be enough. The pain of knowing she may never fully understand my decision weighs heavily on me, but I have to live with it. Emma and I aren't as close as we once were. There's a distance now, a silence that wasn't there before. I miss the way things used to be, but I also know that relationships change, evolve, and sometimes that means letting go of the idea that you can always be the one to fix things. I'll always love my daughter, and I'll always be here for her, but I can't fix everything, nor can I continue to give when I have nothing left to offer. I hope that one day Emma will see my decision not as abandonment, but as an act of self-preservation. Perhaps with time, she'll come to realize that sometimes the hardest thing a parent can do is say no. For now, I hold on to the hope that the love we've shared over the years will be enough to mend the distance between us. Even if it takes time, until then, I'm learning to live with the choices I've made, finding peace in knowing that I did what I could. Love isn't about giving until you're empty. It's about giving what you can, while still holding on to yourself. And while Emma may call me selfish now, I hope that one day she'll understand that sometimes protecting your own heart is the bravest thing you can do.